What if the very definition of work is changing right before our eyes, shaped by something as powerful, as prevalent as AI? Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're plunging into a really critical topic: how artificial intelligence is revolutionizing the workplace. And specifically, we're focusing on the employee value proposition, the EVP, in this new age.
Exactly. And our mission today is, well, to unpack the key insights from this recent Deloitte Insights article. It's called A New EVP for the Age of AI. Sue Cantrell and Jason Flynn co-authored it, and it's packed with fascinating points for us, for all of us, really, navigating this landscape.
Yeah, this deep dive is pretty much tailor-made for anyone trying to figure out this evolving world of work. Maybe you're a leader trying to strategize, or maybe you're a team member wondering, what's next for my role? Or maybe you're just curious about how AI impacts us all.
Right.
We're going to explore how organizations can actually create an EVP that makes AI feel more like a friend rather than a foe, making sure both human and business outcomes can, thrive, not just survive.
It's pretty striking when you look at the numbers. 6 in 10 workers already think of AI as a coworker. And the speed of adoption, it's just unprecedented. Take generative AI, it jumped from, 55% global use in 2023 to a staggering 75% in 2024.
Wow.
That's faster adoption than the personal computer,
Yeah.
faster than the internet. Just think about that for a second.
That speed is, definitely striking. But does the article get into any potential downsides, like the pitfalls of adopting too quickly? Or maybe what successful adoption even looks like beyond just, usage numbers? Because despite AI's promise, the article mentions these often overlooked silent impacts that can really undermine the worker experience.
It does, absolutely. And it's precisely those subtle shifts that often get missed when companies are just focused on speed or efficiency metrics. One silent impact they mention is that AI often takes over the rote tasks, which sounds good, right? But
Right.
leaves workers dealing only with the most challenging, the really complex problems.
Okay, so the cognitive load actually increases in some ways.
Potentially, yes. And then there's this reduction of human agency. Think about like an AI telling a truck driver exactly which route to take. It removes their ability to decide based on, I don't know, real-time road conditions or maybe local knowledge they have.
Right, that gut feeling or experience factor.
Exactly. And it goes deeper. The article even talks about loneliness and isolation. They give this example of a hospital where an intelligent robot fills prescriptions now, and they're distributed by pneumatic tubes, so the pharmacists. They end up working in isolation, often in separate cubicles.
Huh. That's not something you immediately think about with AI implementation. The loneliness aspect, it really makes you think beyond just productivity. What's the biggest blind spot then for leaders who only focus on efficiency?
Well, I think the biggest blind spot is probably assuming human value is just about output. You
Right.
know, leaders might not see the ripple effect of these changes on employee well-being or skill development or even just plain job satisfaction. The article points out that studies are showing AI use can actually contribute to burnout
Burnout. How so?
because workers are grappling with doing their jobs and essentially teaching the machines how to do parts of their jobs too. It's like a double duty. Plus, there's a real worry about losing learning opportunities.
Yeah.
Think about medical coding. If AI systems automate the entry-level tasks, how do new coders get that crucial initial experience? How they build a career path?
Yeah, you lose that apprenticeship ladder almost. So it's not just what AI does, but what it leaves for humans and how that changes the whole nature of work. There was this informal Deloitte poll, right, from December 2024. About 3,900 workers and leaders, mostly US-based, and their top concerns were exactly this: the blurring lines between humans and tech, privacy, and, a big worry about losing human interaction. These concerns really show how the story around AI has shifted, haven't they?
Oh, absolutely. It definitely has. I mean, it started with automation, right? AI just replacing tasks. Simple enough. Then it kind of moved to augmentation AI assisting us, extending our capabilities.
Helping us do our jobs better.
Right. And most organizations now, they're probably in this stage of collaboration. Humans and AI working side by side like teammates, defined roles.
But the article suggests we're heading somewhere even deeper than collaboration. They call it convergence, where the lines, the boundaries between tech and humans might actually start to blur. AI getting woven into the fabric of the workforce, is that the idea?
That's precisely it. Convergence. Technology and humans are sort of moving toward the same point, coming closer together, meeting in new ways. The article actually lays out 9 fascinating signs that point towards this era of convergence.
Okay, 9 signs. So as we're moving towards this convergence, what are the clearest signals the article flags? What should we be looking out for right now?
Well, one big one is technology becoming more human-like. Better interfaces, artificial emotional intelligence is a big topic. Even humanoids taking on physical roles that used to be purely human. That really blurs the line. Then there's technology acting more like an extension of the individual. We're talking AI integrated right into our workflow, acting with us, maybe more like a kind of cyborg integration rather than the old centaur idea where there's a clear split between human and machine tasks.
Okay, that cyborg idea is interesting. And the article mentions digital Doug, right? This concept of embedding someone's knowledge into AI. That's fascinating. But beyond just like preserving knowledge, what's the biggest takeaway from that anecdote for us about career management or even IP in this AI age?
Yeah, Digital Doug is a great example. He worked at an automotive company, was retiring, and he volunteered to let an algorithm monitor him, learn from his actions. And this created an AI application that made his very specialized knowledge available forever and at scale. The biggest insight there, I think, is how it redefines legacy and expertise itself.
So
It shifts knowledge from being solely tied to a person, embodied in them, to becoming an asset, something that can be codified, scaled up, used continuously even after that person leaves. And that raises huge questions, right? How do we value that? How do we compensate for those kinds of intellectual contributions down the line?
yeah, big questions indeed. So AI becoming an extension of us, what else signals this convergence?
The convergence of disciplines is another key sign. The article suggests that pretty much everyone can be tech talent now, meaning everyone is effectively a coder, or at least needs to be AI literate.
Right.
We're also seeing engineering and the humanities coming together, creating demand for people who have both technical skills and that human understanding. Multidisciplinary is key, and qualitative data is becoming just as important as quantitative, understanding the why, the context, not just the what.
That convergence sounds, well, transformative.
Yeah.
But it also sounds like it creates a ton of new challenges for leaders, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What's the absolute trickiest balance they need to strike, according to the article, and why is it so darn difficult?
Oh, it absolutely does open up a Pandora's box.
Yeah.
The article really highlights that leaders have to figure out how to optimize human AI work for both business outcomes and human sustainability.
Yeah.
And the trickiest balance, it might be reconciling automation used for pure efficiency with augmentation and collaboration, which are more about growth and human potential.
Why is that so hard?
Because the immediate tangible benefits of automation are often really obvious, right? Cost savings, speed. But the longer-term gains from investing in human AI, synergy and human development, those are less quantifiable, maybe harder to sell internally. Leaders also have to think about how AI's own creativity affects the worker experience and the whole relationship between the worker and the organization. And a big one, how much do you empower workers to redesign their own work with AI versus managing that redesign strictly from the top down?
It's complex, and what's kind of unsettling is that the article suggests leaders aren't fully grappling with this yet. It says only 52% view unlocking the potential of blurring human-tech boundaries as very or critically important. Often the focus is still just tactical AI adoption, not rethinking the whole EVP. It's like an EVP lag.
Exactly, an EVP lag. And the core principle that really comes through is that you can't separate AI's value from its impact on the human experience. They're totally intertwined. So an updated EVP isn't about replacing the old one. It's an evolution that's absolutely necessary for a world where skills have a shorter and shorter half-life, and those human-machine boundaries are blurring.
Okay, so if that's the case, what does this mean for actually building a truly human value proposition in the age of AI? Let's dive into some specific pillars and maybe some examples the article gives. The first one sounds crucial: sharing AI-created rewards.
Yes, this is critical. The data shows organizations are almost 6 times more likely to see significant financial benefits when their workers personally get value from the AI being used. Yet despite that, a huge 77% of organizations aren't really doing this meaningfully.
Wow, 6 times. That's a big multiplier being left on the table.
It is, and it brings up that digital Doug dilemma again. If his knowledge, now in AI form, keeps creating value, should he get ongoing rewards, even in retirement? They're really thorny question about fairness, ownership, intellectual property.
Yeah, truly profound ethical and economic questions there. Are there any real-world examples of companies, getting this right, sharing the value?
There are some promising examples. Shutterstock is one. They actually got permission from photographers and offered them royalties for using their images to train Shutterstock's AI image generator. So they protected their core business and respected the artists, giving them a share of the new value created.
That sounds like a win-win.
It does. And Waste Management has a pilot program. Drivers get financial incentives if they generally follow the AI-optimized routes and pick up more trash. So they're directly sharing those productivity gains through wages.
Okay.
And looking forward, performance appraisals might need to shift, maybe focus more on joint human and machine outcomes, which likely means those who learn to use AI effectively will achieve better results and therefore get better rewards.
That makes a lot of sense, rewarding the effective use of the tool. Okay, another pillar for this evolved EVP, supporting work-life balance with AI.
Yeah, the potential here is massive. AI efficiencies could genuinely let people work less. The article mentions the Ross Firm Professional Corporation, a Canadian law firm. They successfully moved to a 4-day work week.
Seriously, a law firm?
Yep, thanks to AI automating a lot of their administrative tasks. And it's not just them. A Tech.co survey found that 93% of businesses where AI is considered critical are thinking about a 4-day work week. Compare that to only 41% of non-AI businesses.
93% versus 41. That's a huge difference.
It really is. It suggests this isn't just about cutting hours. It's about using AI to create a fundamentally better quality of life for employees. That's a powerful part of an EVP, right?
Absolutely. Okay, next up, the article talks about using AI to treat everyone like a high potential. How does that actually work, and what's the transformative potential there?
Well, AI can power things like internal talent marketplaces, offering everyone stretch assignments, chances to grow, regardless of their current title or role. It can provide personal AI agents. Think of them like virtual interns handling routine stuff so individuals can focus on higher level, more strategic work.
Okay, freeing up cognitive space.
Exactly. And it can deliver personalized coaching at scale, something that used to be only for top executives. Amazon, for instance, apparently gives workers an AI coach. It provides ongoing feedback based on the collective experience and evaluations of, well, everyone they've hired, so everyone gets access to development resources that were previously for a select few. It really democratizes growth opportunities.
That's pretty powerful, leveling the playing field for development. All right, the next area for an evolved EVP is about cultivating human capabilities, things like adaptability and resilience.
Yes, because with AI handling more of the technical or routine tasks, those uniquely human skills, collaboration, critical thinking, emotional intelligence, creativity, they become more critical than ever. Developing these capabilities becomes a really valuable piece of the EVP because that's what machines can't easily replicate. USAA is mentioned as an example here. They intentionally focus on developing these human capabilities as part of their EVP. They're planning for future skills, reskilling their workforce to adapt and lean into these uniquely human abilities. It's not just training, it's a fundamental shift in what they value and develop.
It's recognizing that as machines get smarter, our human intelligence needs to adapt and evolve in different directions. What about learning? Specifically, this idea of two-way learning between humans and AI.
Right, enabling two-way learning, human and AI learning from each other. At Repsol's refineries, for example, workers analyze production options that the AI generates, but then they incorporate context the AI might miss, like market shifts, local conditions, things that are hard to quantify. And critically, they feed their analyses back into the AI system, helping it learn and improve.
So the human expertise refines the AI.
Precisely. It's moving from the old idea of humans in the loop, where we just review AI's decisions, to maybe humans on the loop, especially with more advanced agentic AI that has more autonomy. The AI makes decisions but consults humans when it gets stuck, kind of like a junior employee asking a senior colleague for help. It creates this symbiotic learning relationship.
Human on the loop, I like that framing. Okay, and the final pillar mentioned is empowering AI experimentation. How do organizations foster that culture, where people feel safe to, play and experiment smartly with AI? And how do you reward that curiosity?
Yeah, this is crucial for agility. Organizations need to provide access to leading-edge AI tools, but also genuinely encourage workers to play and experiment. There was one study mentioned showing generative AI can boost highly skilled workers' performance by nearly 40% if it's used within its capabilities.
Okay, but what if it's used outside its capabilities?
Then performance can actually decline by about 19%. So it's about smart experimentation, understanding the tool's strengths and limitations. And critically, organizations need to reward workers who figure out how to self-automate tasks or find new uses for AI and then proactively share those learnings with their colleagues. That kind of culture drives continuous improvement from the ground up.
Makes sense. So if an organization wants to actually start moving towards this evolved EVP, where do they begin? What are the first steps?
The article suggests a few key starting points. First, organizations really need to study those silent impacts of AI on their specific workforce. This might involve things like anthropological research, literally observing how workers interact with AI day to day.
Like actually watching them work.
Yeah. Alongside more traditional methods like surveys, focus groups, sentiment analysis, Intel, for example, apparently has social scientists doing exactly this, studying human-AI interaction to understand the nuances. Why is that direct observation so important, maybe compared to just sending out a survey?
Well, I guess surveys tell you what people think, but watching tells you why. You see the context, the workarounds, the frustrations. You can't really fix problems if you don't understand their root cause, right?
Exactly. You get the why behind the what. So understanding the impact is step one. What's next?
Transparent communication. Seems obvious, but probably hard to do well.
Very true. Organizations need to be really clear about how AI will affect work, how the company will support new ways of working with AI, and crucially, how AI is going to create value for the workers themselves, not just the company. USAA's CEO is cited again here, apparently. He communicates broadly and transparently about AI impacts to all employees. And that message is reinforced by HR and IT leaders, alongside offering introductory AI training for everyone. It builds trust, demystifies things.
Okay, study the impacts, communicate transparently, and the last piece seems absolutely critical. Forging strong partnerships between HR and tech.
Yes, completely essential. You can't create a new EVP for the AI age without expertise from both the tech side and the people side, working hand in glove. That Deloitte survey found 30% of executives think CIOs or CDOs need to join forces with CHROs. And get this, 11% even suggested the CHRO role itself should shift to something like Chief Human and Machine Resource Officer.
Wow, Chief Human and Machine Resource Officer. That's a pretty radical thought, isn't it? It really signals a fundamental rethink of how you manage human talent and tech capabilities together in one strategy.
It absolutely does. And we're already seeing new roles emerge, like Senior Vice President of People Experience and Technology. And organizations like USIA are apparently building those strong HR tech relationships specifically for strategic workforce planning in the AI era.
So wrapping this up, what does this all mean for you, our listener?
Well, revising the employee value proposition, it's not just a nice-to-have anymore. It seems pretty critical. The article mentioned over 70% of managers and workers are more likely to join and stay with an organization if its EVP actually helps them thrive in this AI-driven world. The investment in AI isn't just about the tech. It's fundamentally about people.
And how those people feel about their work, their contribution, their future. Yeah, this deep dive really hammers that home.
So here's a final thought to leave you with. As AI continues to reconfigure the very structure of our organizations, potentially unlocking worker autonomy in ways we haven't seen before, how might your own role, or maybe the roles around you, evolve to embrace this really unprecedented collaboration between human and machine? What new forms of value will you create together?